we find out that we're being deployed, and they're like, well, we're a small unit out of New York City, and they kind of were like, oh, well, you know what would be funny is for you guys to get attached to a unit that you guys fought in the Civil War. That'd be real funny, wouldn't it?
Welcome to the Recalibrated. I'm your host, Meade Kincke, and I'm here to take us through the journey of being in the service, transitioning out, and what today looks like. Our guest, Dmitry Solominsky, served over 7.5 years in the Army National Guard from Infantryman to Team Leader. He led an 8-man team on raids, intelligence missions, and high-stakes operations in Baghdad during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Today, he is the founder of Measure Twice Project Management, where he keeps construction projects from turning into circus acts. Dmitry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Meade, for having me. That pretty much summarizes me in a nutshell. So now that we've done that, we can turn it off. It's been great. Thank you. Fantastic.
Look, show's wrapped. We're done. Everyone have heard the story. There's nothing left to hear here. I mean, what else do people want? Come on now. So let's begin with the why. We can start there. So what drew you to the Army National Guard?
So what drew me to the Army National Guard? I was to say that I was a shit student would be giving a compliment to shit. I graduated in a class of 254. My GPA rank was 246. So I was not I was an enthusiastic student in the fact that I would cut class, show up for the exams, get high grades, anger the professors by doing that, and then continue to rinse and repeat onward and forward, time and time again. And then 9/11 happened while I was in high school. I happened to have the displeasure of seeing the second tower get hit. I also obviously had no direction in high school as to like college or any kind of plans. And I was like, oh, let me think about joining the Guard. And
Okay.
What I tell people is that I was the most forward-thinking, naive 17-year-old ever, because I saw what college did to my mom, with the student debt that she took on when she went back to school. And I thought, hey, I'll do a weekend a month, go away for 2 weeks a year, as all the ads say, and then get to do something with my college degree. And lo and behold, that kind of not what happened. The unit I became a member of was a unit in New York City, the 69th Infantry Unit, very, very historical, well-regarded unit, but that was prior to 9/11, not very well updated with current both equipment, munitions, kind of anything really that would instill any sort of semblance of confidence in a military unit whatsoever.
I'm just imagining, like, here's a sack and a stick, and you boys just pretend that you're making a fort. You go wild, have fun. You're great.
Yeah, basically. I mean, prior to my time there, I heard stories of like guys when they go to drill would just take a keg with them, for the weekend, and then just drink all weekend. So this is the type of but obviously 9/11 had a massive impact on Guard units in the U.S. everywhere.
Sure.
They became kind of the structural backbone for supplementation, and in some cases leading the fight while being deployed. And then in 2004, while going to drill, I was reading the paper on the way there and found out that I was being deployed to Iraq before I even found out from my own unit. So
Oh,
that's always,
wow.
that's always a fun little, it's
Yeah.
like,
When the post beat you, when you talk, oh, drill sergeant, what are we doing? And you go like, oh, yeah, you already know. Like,
basically, yeah, yeah. So it was one of these like, aha moments.
oh, wow.
We thought we were being deployed first to Bosnia, then to Cape of Good Hope, South Africa. Then they settled on the joy that is Iraq.
Those are
Because
three very different locales. Just to say, in case you were like dice rolling and said like, oh, which one of these? Those are not even remotely close.
no, the way that I think that they chose the locations was maybe they got drunk and threw darts at a map of the world, because there's no real rhyme or reason to why any three of those places should be on the same list for anything.
Those are nowhere near the same postcode. You go like, hold on. So we have the Boers in South Africa. Maybe okay, we can no. That how about the Balkans? The Balkans will be nice this time. Now hold on a moment. The desert. That's what we'll do. The desert. That sounds way better.
I think that was it. I think that was kind of their thought process when they decided where to send this unit that still using equipment from possibly the Civil War in its day-to-day, like weekend drills, whatever. But they trained us up. We spent about 4 months in Texas. Our battalion commander was a fun gentleman. He took this deployment personally. He had a landscaping business that he completely sold, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna go do what we have to do as an infantry unit." And one of the first things he did was, so we get to Texas and we're still using this equipment that is probably older than me and you and possibly your parents combined.
Sure.
And he's like, he goes to the 1-star general of the unit we're attached to, and he's like, "Hey, so if we don't get the equipment we need, I'll spend the whole deployment here in Texas, because I'm not sending my guys into that with Humvees that have 2.5 wheels and other things that
kind of the joke bit from the South Park film of like Operation Human Shield, and you go like, no, that's real.
Yeah,
like,
no,
good luck. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? All right, like,
I mean, death, summed up pretty quickly.
So he did that, but he also kind of. So let me back up a little. So the unit, we find out that we're being deployed, and they're like, well, we're a small unit out of New York City, and they kind of were like, oh, well, what would be funny is for you guys to get attached to a unit that you guys fought in the Civil War. That'd be real funny, wouldn't it? So yeah,
funny.
we were attached to a unit that we still have, on the guidon banners from our drill. We still have the names of the battles we fought them in, and then we were attached to them because someone has a sense of humor somewhere, and
that's hilarious.
Yeah, we feel like they needed to get the most of it, So yeah,
this just reads like like, oh yeah, let's go to a Red Wings game. There won't be any bad blood at all. No, it will be fine.
No, it'll be completely no big deal. No, it's still to this day one of the things that if you try to envision yourself writing a script for a show or a movie and you try to write that in, editors will be like, "No, that's too rich. Take that out." That's not
like
fly.
that. Like no one are going to believe this. Like that's one of those when you start telling like ridiculous life stories and you go, at what point did we become like a human, like not a caricature, but like a real life soap opera where you go like, oh, this is like an episode of EastEnders. So you go, well, no, that's real. That's real. That actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you would think someone would jump in and be like, "All right, you jumped the shark here. Let's tone it down a bit,
ever so slightly."
Yeah, just ever so a little bit, just a tiny bit. That's fine.
Wow. I adore that.
Yeah, so we had we managed to find our way to Iraq. We were in an area that hadn't seen any coalition forces in about 8 months.
Okay.
So when we arrived, it was kind of just like a free for all. There were mortars flying in from the sky, hitting the base. There was 6 months prior to us getting there, approximately 6 months prior to us getting there, the munitions factory for the whole country was basically across the street, and that was raided.
Oh, wow.
So like there at some point there were like rows and rows upon heavy munitions, upon like
Sure.
everything from AK rounds to large bombs, and
Yeah,
all of that.
you're like, oh, well, let's go shopping. Where are the frag grenades? And you go like, it's all gone.
Basically, yeah, like the remnants of it were there.
Wow.
And we had as we did what we could with the resources we had. We made connections. We tried to imbue goodwill with the local populace, and we did a good job. We became known as, when we were in Taji, which is about 15 miles northish of Baghdad proper,
Uh-huh.
very farming based community. So when we left, our battalion commander, had from the imams basically petitioned him to stay, because
Okay.
we had made things so good in the area, so much more workable, both from a financial perspective for the locals, but also from a safety perspective. Things reduced. The number of mortars flying in were mitigated. We kind of did things a little differently in terms of how we did kind of our patrols and things of that sort. Whereas most units that are passed through an area, if you get shot at, you typically speed up to evade to not wind up in the kill zone.
Sure.
Which is common sense, I think, for most.
Common sense is not common, though. You already know this.
No, it's not. And we really tried to find a way to help the locals out. We would turn into fire head on, figure out where it's coming from, try to eliminate the threat, both either directly or indirectly by, pinpointing where it's coming from, and also just trying to trace that up the chain to higher sources of, financing, as far as like where the weapons are coming from, where all this was being kind of torturing the community, so to speak, that we were in.
Yeah, I've said this a whole lot, like where people go like, oh, these guys are dangerous and this, that, and the other. And I go, listen, you don't know the terror that a really, really aggressive 3-man mortar team can unleash. Like, that is one of those things where it's incoming, it hits, and they're already gone. Like that's not, you don't get to like, oh, where did it come? Like they're gone. They're mobile. That's not, you don't get to go round 2 on this.
Yeah, no, we one of the things we got to do was we were there during their first elections, which was in 2004, which was an amazing experience to see the onslaught of people coming out to like finally have some semblance of representation.
Sure.
We also, when Fallujah was going on, to your point, we were providing outer cordon. We were like 15 to 18 miles away from it. And we, I remember we were facing Fallujah, and I was on the 50 cal, and we were realizing that we were by this canal. Okay. We were realizing that every time that smoke would come up, like maybe 8 to 10 miles away, within, I want to say 2 minutes guaranteed, mortars would start falling on our position.
Yep.
And there were a bunch of cows across the canal, and we could tell that, day by day, just how close the mortars were getting.
Because there were no more cows.
the number of cows kept going down.
Oh, no. So you're going like, is it alien abduction? You go like, no, just heavy explosives. It's much the other way around.
But they're triangular. Thankfully, the the mathematics were not in their favor.
They're not. You remember the old early 1980s game Gorillas, where you have the two gorillas and you throw the banana, and apparently they didn't play that game.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been more dangerous had they, just video games to the rescue.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they would have, or it was maybe just a bunch of people who were like myself, didn't pay much attention in high school when they really should have. And I'm thankful that they didn't, right? I'm here today speaking to you.
It's true.
Because of their ineptitude, that's fine.
So we'll applaud them for that.
Yeah, we'll applaud them for that. I do pity the cows, though.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, goodness.
And, we were there from 04 to 05. We were in Kaji for like 3 to 4 months, and then we were in Baghdad proper between the Green Zone and the airport, patrolling route known as Route Irish, which was at that point the deadliest route in the whole country. And once we managed to kind of do what we could along that route, it was a haven for VBIDs. It was a haven for people. Anytime there were VIPs, there was only one travel speed for them in their up armored BMWs and SUVs. Wow. It was like 80 miles an hour. They had kind of
run flats, heavy windows. Yeah, we know the story.
Yeah, run flat. They had guys. They had guys like out of doing like cartoonish action movie things out the back of their Humvee.
Let's do a J-turn. You go like, no, stop.
Well, it's not even J-turn. I remember one time seeing a guy who had not one, but two 240 Bravos at the back of his up armored Humvee. I'm like, what are you doing? Like what are you going to shoot that at? What are you going to shoot that at? Like, you're not Rambo, right?
But maybe they just really, really want to be. So that's maybe good enough? Question mark?
I mean, listen, you think about it. These are the same people who, the private military contractors at that point were really, really popular.
Sure.
They were paying, $150,000, $180,000 for a 6-month contract. So sure. people who did deploy the first time around in OIF-1 and got out were jumping on those jobs like hotcakes, because the first 90 of that was tax free, and then you got to drive around like a one-man Rambo and play with all the cool toys.
Literally defining Soldier of Fortune, where you go like, yeah, no, it's a real thing.
Yeah, no, making a mockery of the actual military, and then giving us a lot of grief and issues. And
we do have stories now, though. So
we do. And I'm
trade it as you do.
And so my unit had just an awful deployment. We lost a lot of guys.
Great. That sounds excellent.
Yeah, it was a joyful time.
Okay, so let's back it up just a few degrees. So talk about humble beginnings as an infantryman, going from that to team leader. Like how did it begin for you?
So I and you'd have to go back to basic when I never held a gun before in my life. I never didn't, when I joined, it was like, oh, what does this do? This do?
Oh my goodness. And this is why we have the instructions printed on the side of weapons, and you go like, no, that's real.
Yeah. No, listen. So in basic, when I went to go calibrate, zero my weapon, and I wasn't hitting this. Not only was I not hitting the the little 8.5 by 11 target on the board, I wasn't hitting the board itself, because I realized that I was using the wrong eye, and the drill sergeant basically told me to, hey, dipshit, try using your other eye. Which at that point I was like, huh? What do you mean?
They usually come in pairs. So there's like make the L's. So this one's lefty.
Oh shit!
There we go. Now he's got it. Yeah. He's good to go.
20 something years later. Fuck, if only I would have known.
As you do.
So yeah, like I learned how to shoot.
Cool.
Um, came into my unit. My unit, like I said, was I was at that point, still going to drill. I finished high school because I finished high school in a shitty way, not really giving a rat's ass much about it.
Fair enough.
And as I was a week away from going to basic, I was playing basketball and I came down on my ankle, twisted it. Thought nothing of it. I played sports in high school, so went on the sidelines, let my ankle rest a little, retied nice and tight. Went back in. First play of the next game, came down on the same ankle, twisted it again. Go home. By go, I mean waddle home.
Sure.
Wake up the next day, my ankle is the size of my head, and I go to a doctor, and he starts laughing at me, which is always a great sign.
You're never going to believe this, but his foot exploded.
So he goes to me, I've been doing this work for 25 years. I've never seen someone come as close as you, to completely shattering and breaking most of the bones in your ankle without actually doing so. So I was like, oh, I'm like, what does that mean for me? He goes, well, that means for you is you're going to be staying off your ankle for a while. So no surgery, but cast and kind of professionally waddling around with crutches. So got, postponed my entrance into basic by, I forget, like maybe a couple of months until I was able to, reduce the size of my foot ankle to, a relatively normal human size.
So yeah, as it turns out, being an infantryman, you're kind of on your feet a little bit, just a little bit,
just a tad.
Touch.
So I went to basic, like I said, went to basic, experienced all of that, experienced the joys of running through the gas chamber.
Sure.
I had in basic, I had glasses that were known as birth control glasses, because if a woman saw you, she stayed away.
Standard issue.
Yeah, standard issue. Which at that point I was like, oh, great. They're only, the glasses are only like this thick, and
sure. Like Coke bottles would have been very lightweight in contrast.
Yeah, I had a really strong neck after basic from holding them up.
See, the thing about it is they just recognize your charisma and say prowess with women, and they just thought, no, we need to equalize that. We can't have him. He will snatch up everyone. We can't do this. So
we need to like we need to make him look less like George Clooney and more like Steve Bannon.
Like that or Quasimodo. Like take your pick, however you like it.
So I kind of did that.
Wow.
And then I to the glasses point, drill sergeants would be like, hey, we'd start like a 21-mile road march. Is it going to rain on this march? So can you tell us? Can you give us? Can you give us
the always classic joke of like, oh, you're tall. How's the weather up there? That kind of thing.
Basically, like I would get jokes along the lines of like, hey, what are the lottery numbers for next week? Huh?
Okay, you must admit that one's witty. Like
no, it is. It is.
Give credit where it's due.
Oh no, it's a level up from the usual kind of usual mundane, like, hey, you're blind as a fucking bat humor.
That one was highfalutin. We can call it that way.
Yes, and made it through basic in one piece. Got assigned to my unit, kind of got there and was like, what the fuck are we doing? Because I at that point that was my first entry into adulthood, right? So like,
this is the organized chaos. Welcome, hello, yes, how are you?
Yeah, welcome, hello, how are you? Here's your equipment that's significantly older than you are. Here's your here's what we do this. Here's what we do that. And my unit was based out of Manhattan, so like they had responded to, they were one of the units that responded to 9/11 at that. at that time, and they have like I said, a long storied history
Mm,
of uh, going back to the Revolutionary War
sure.
of being on the forefront of both just historical events, whether they want to or not.
Involved, shall we say?
Involved, yeah,
Involved. I think we can use that word to sum it up.
yeah.
So I'll ask this: you went from that, and obviously everyone are very disappointed that you didn't get to continue your career being the new Larry Bird. But with that being put aside, sadly so, how did the growth from infantryman to team leader, how was that something that you sought out, or was that something that you were kind of pushed to, or maybe a mixture of both?
Kind of more so that I was pushed into. I never
Okay.
really thought of myself as a at that point in my life. I never really thought of myself as a leader
Hmm.
of anything in any way, shape, or form. Like the word, when looked up in a dictionary, definitely did not have my face, my name, not even my zip code. Maybe like I just like very far away from what I wanted.
Sure.
Because I was you're when you sign up for the military at that age, you're in a case of a guardsman, probably some, and in the case of probably some active duty personnel,
Mhm.
you're 18. You don't know your ass from your elbow.
Sure.
You have no clue how the world functions. You're just put into a unit and told to follow orders, told to
Grown toddler is the way I would describe it.
yes, that's a
You're
good
like,
way of putting it.
great, hold on, what's this do? And you're like, okay, so that's we'll just call it the pointy pointy. That's what's called a knife to normal humans. You go run.
It's
Okay.
mhm. Basically yes. And to some extent, like my unit and also just my experience as I grew as a person during my
Hmm.
time, like it's like it really seems a like somewhere along the line, um, someone was like, hey, it'd be really funny if we film a bunch of 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds from New York City and have them pretend they're soldiers. And and
It's like the stupidest version of candid camera ever. Like
oh,
you
but
go,
it's not even a studio. Like if it was candid camera, it
hmm,
would be like the hijinks, the stupidity, the absolute just abject like insanity that we went through, that we did, things we did while in a guard unit too, because you only drill 1 week in a month, right? The rest of
sure,
the time you're off doing whatever it is that most
life
of the young adults,
things.
yeah, most of the young adults do. But no,
Well,
it kind of
I,
it
oh my goodness, I'll ask this. Now you've stepped on a point. So you've joined us for mission recalibration before, and I'll ask it here now that we have a point. What are you absolutely delighted that like smartphones were not around to record?
oh, I mean, everything.
That's a broadsword to swing.
Yeah. Like I think that if smartphones were around during my deployment, during kind of even the stuff that we did during drill, I think that there would be not just our drill, but like just writ large, infantrymen, I think, are one of they'd probably be one of the reasons why smartphones would be banned, right? Because
Oh my goodness. Oh, I have so many like like sketches and films playing in my head, and you go, and they're all painfully accurate, and
yeah, oh,
we're all watching it.
it's really really funny how just the timing of it all worked out, because we recorded videos when we were deployed on our phones
Uh huh.
that obviously no one, I don't we didn't share them, we kept them to
Sure.
ourselves, but like the we would make comments about other units, we make comments about people's driving habits, we would I have photos and I think video of me under a really large overpass, just without my helmet, just hanging out, pretending I'm like a superhero, being like this. It's
Like Heisman Trophy kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my
We
goodness.
had incidents where we had there was one time where we were there in that same kind of overpass, was an area we kind of went to occasionally to kind of get a quick breather. It very very common for other units to use the thing. There was a incident one time where we, where we were under there, and an Abrams tank was rolling, was, part of a convoy of other
As
Abrams
you do.
tanks. Yeah, but its barrel apparently malfunctioned, and it was pointed directly at us, and I was just
Oh,
like,
wow.
I was like, I'm like,
Is
can
that
we?
looking at me funny, or is it just
Like,
me?
yeah,
Like,
I know. I go to my squad leader. I'm like, hey, can we get in contact with them? I
that feels ever so aggressive.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like, can we? I don't like that.
I don't think anyone would. You go like, "What's that?" And you go like, that's a howitzer." And you're like, should it be pointed this direction? No, actually. Let's ring them up. Let's see. Did someone steal your breakfast? Is this okay?
But well, so like, what's funny? What's funny is like they're trained to, as are we, like when they when you're traveling on a curve, to have the barrel facing the way that it can have most coverage.
Sure.
And it's just that the barrel of that is significantly larger than the barrel of 50 cal, which I was at, just by a little bit.
Just a
And
touch.
yeah, just a touch. And I was just like, I was thinking, I'm like, think I can get their attention if I start firing at them? Like, hello. Can you
There's
not point
something
this
about the cycle rate of a 50 cal, because it doesn't have a fast cycle rate. It's very much a like that kind of thing, and you go, oh, I know that rhythm. Someone are upset.
like, and you think on a, especially on the armor plating of an Abrams,
Yeah.
I'd be like, wait, is someone sneezing?
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's not you're not doing much with no.
But yeah, so we had like, incidents like that, and then
Wow.
we had to your point about like leadership, I learned a lot about
Okay.
kind of growing into roles by observing the leaders that I had during my deployment, by observing other leaders, by observing what people did and what they didn't do, and not only just in the military context, but how they acted as human beings towards the people that they that fell under their kind of guidance.
Sure.
And yeah, it was a kind of a very very wholesome learning experience,
Well, there you
albeit
go.
under interesting scenarios of being in Iraq.
Circumstances. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um,
So let's ask it this way then. Like, with all of that leading up to, what kind of drove your decision to retire from the military?
I just felt that it was 2009. I was
Hmm.
in from 2001 to 2009. Deployed in '04 to '05. I just I don't know. A part of me really wanted to be able to experience civilian life without the um, kind of the little part in the back of my brain being like, "Oh, you have drill coming up in 2 weekend in next month. Oh, you're yeah."
Okay.
So like I
Just
wanted,
done. Like, I'm just
yeah.
done.
I deployed once. It took a lot out of me.
Hmm.
Lessons that I'm still dealing with today, both physically as well as emotionally. You also learn a lot about yourself, how you deal with stress, how you deal with well-being, and how that manifests on a day-to-day basis, and how certain people are more meant for that than others. And I don't begrudge anyone that stays in. I just felt
Sure.
like I had um, kind of a lot to offer the regular non-military world.
Yeah, not everyone are built the same, and it's definitely one of those things where you go, yeah, when you talk like axe operators and all that kind of stuff, those are different animals, and like we get it. And I'll say I'm glad you got out. Like that's wonderful. It's always one of those things where you go, I ask about this, like whether it be in medicine or otherwise, like if someone go to A&E or like the emergency room, and you go like, oh, you've had this problem for so long, why now? And it's a stack, I always find, where you go like, I'm just done.
Yeah,
So there you are.
yeah. It was that. It was kind of like I was my my schedule was like my day-to-day life schedule was insane. I was doing the drill a
Sure.
weekend. I was also working full time, going to school full time. So I was just like, I needed to just kind of turn it off, if you
I
will.
understand.
And I was like, hey, I did what I needed to do. I am enjoying the fruits of that at that point with my education. And I felt like, there's a lot more to the world that I could still both see and do
Sure.
and contribute in a meaningful way.
So, what what you kind of touched on it, but what when you got out, like what was the moment like you went, okay, civilian life is going to be a little bit different?
So, I got back from my deployment in '05 and started working for a law firm in the facilities department. And I, I got to see I got to see that a lot of that kind of dual track uh, lifestyle, if you will, because I was still
Hmm.
going to drill, but I was still experiencing kind of this world and working for corporate America at that point,
Sure.
albeit not as not in any fancy or crazy way. I got to see kind of the exploits of what corporate America falls into, and like that included like we would have holiday parties around this time of year that would
Sure.
be fully catered affairs at like steakhouses with open bars, and literally in the literal sense open bars. You want Johnny Walker Blue Label, you get Blue
Sure.
Label. Like, so I realized that, not that I wanted to be a professional alcoholic, but that, the civilian world has a lot of these avenues that I hadn't even considered, that things I could possibly do, fall into, and, kind of
Sure.
become. So I think realizing that while, those seeds were planted while I was still working at the law firm, kind of just
Gotcha.
the understanding of, hey, there's a whole world out there that you know very little of. But every day I would go to work. Every weekend when I wasn't in drill, I would go to work OT, and I would have these kind of realizations, whether it be with my boss at the time
Sure.
or just kind of through observations, that there's stuff out there that I can do.
Gotcha. So, what did not translate well?
Uh, I, I think I think one of the things I think one of the things that uh, was always difficult and continued to be was that I had these experiences in my early 20s where my were life or death, right? And
Sure.
I had responsibilities for certain things, whether it be weaponry, equipment, personnel, that allowed me to have these, albeit very small positions of power, so that when I was at the law firm, it became so the law firm I worked at um, became the largest firm in American history to go bankrupt.
Oh,
Right?
well, that's an achievement.
Yeah, yes, it is. I did not cause it. I'm not that important.
Well, that's way
Uh,
more boring. Okay, interview's over. We're done
all
now.
right, all right. I set fire to a 45-story building. You happy?
Okay, that sounds
Um,
way cooler. Coming soon.
yes. So I spent the law firm went bankrupt, and then like we would have layoffs that would kind of happen. My boss came home from burying his grandmother in Puerto Rico on a Friday to them firing him on that same Friday.
Whoa.
Um, and then
Okay.
I like my day to day for a year, I would go to work not knowing if it would be my last day. So like what didn't translate well is when I interviewed.
Stability.
Stability, yeah, absolutely
Goodness.
stability, but also when I was interviewing for positions in
Sure.
other places, because I saw the writing on the wall.
Hmm.
Um, I was at that point in my late 20s, and the kind of um, the context of the interviews would be like, "Oh, you've done this, this, and this. Great, great. You've done this. Great, fantastic. This is great. Yeah, sorry, you're too young to lead the department." And like, I'm like, I have managed people. I've managed equipment. I've I basically assisted in the merger of two historic law firms and the consolidation of their assets. Like, you're saying I can't run this team because I'm too young.
And see, this is one of the things I talk about constantly, and it's such a pain point because when you talk about, the transition, when you talk about, well, what does that look like? It's people don't necessarily understand it, and being able to explain who you are in a very bite-sized and clear-cut and understood manner, it's not easy. Again, to your point, you go like, I've overseen 100-man squadrons and this and everything else, and you go, I don't know what any of those words mean. So it's like technically speaking English, but not exactly.
No, it's just a dialect, and
Yeah. Well said.
that very few understand. And so that part of it, was tough because I'm like, I can do the job. It just I happen to be, when I was working, I was people that I answer to and people that answer to me were old, in some cases older than me, and that's in some cases significantly older than me. And that doesn't
Sure.
discredit my or their abilities in any way. It's just how the cookie crumbled, so to speak, where it's like, hey, I was in the right place at the right time, and I made the right enough of an impression that put me in a position that let me get to where I was.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm thankful for my time that I spent at the law firm. I really, really am. I learned a lot about corporate structure, about the joys of kissing ass and not kissing ass, the how to deal with megalomaniacal partners.
Politics. Let's see, we can we'll wrap it up in a word. Politica. Yeah. There we go.
And so I was one of the last 35 people there, helped oversee kind of the wind down, was let go eventually. And then, I really struggled. I struggled for a while figuring out, I applied to a bunch of places, wasn't getting anything. And I struggled. I even gave some thought at that point to maybe going back into the military on an active duty basis, because at that point I had graduated, so I was thinking maybe I'll go back as an officer. That thought crossed my mind, but I was like, you know what? Let me see what else is out there, and I happened across a website called TaskRabbit, which allowed me to do kind of the odds and ends for other people as they moved into their apartments, houses, office spaces, et cetera, et cetera. And I got to say, it kind of really changed my life in many different ways. Because at the law firm, I was overseeing facilities projects, interior office projects, moves, et cetera. But this allowed me to kind of create a structure in which I lived, right? So
I love that.
I kind of used my the way that I learned lessons in the military, learned lessons about being the right place at the right time, being on time, knowing how to communicate with people, and I kind of parlayed that into a pretty incredible journey through TaskRabbit. I did I was on it for 3 years or so. I did through the site. I did about 900 jobs. Off the site, I did about another 800 jobs. I was the number 7 ranked person in New York City for a while.
Not bragging or anything.
No. But as somebody who's, the fact that I tell people this a lot is people are like, oh, what'd you do? Well, I freelanced as a carpenter in New York City for 3 years and didn't have to, and continue to live at the life that I lived, right? I didn't have to move back in with my mom. I didn't have to make any sacrifices on what I was doing with friends or wasn't doing. I just made a name for myself, right? I kind of dug in on the things I was good at, through discipline, through kind of lessons learned from my time in the military.
You got to take ownership of it, plain and simple.
Yeah. And, kind of use that and, kind of ran with it, so to speak. Kind of whatever it went. I would literally, there were the days and weeks would go by where I had my old military backpack, 55 pounds full of tools, no matter. So I'm ready for whatever. I'd have my laptop in there. I'd go to a coffee shop in the morning and I would bid on jobs, hey, and I would just bid on jobs. I have I since went back and I've seen there are days when I had 5 or 6 jobs. There are days when I had 1 or 2. I got to work in some fun environments. I got to do some fun things. I think one of my most memorable jobs had nothing to do with like carpentry at all. Someone posted a job that they were on their wedding day and they didn't know how to tie a bow tie, and I bid on the job. I won it, and I got to like experience going into this person's like hotel room right before they get married and tying their bow tie for them,
Very
which
intimate.
very, very intimate. And I get to experience things like the most fun jobs for me were where the clients are happy, but like where I got to hang out with the people's pets and things of that sort. I've
Sure.
the one of the most memorable moments. I was finishing up a job that took like 2 days for someone, and
Hmm.
they had a 3-year-old at the time, 3-year-old boy, and he walked up to me to tip me, and in each of his hands was a $50 bill.
Okay.
So, and he gave me the $50 bill. I go, "This is for you. This is
Wow.
for you." And like things like that. Like I made sure I left each client. I tried to make sure that I left each client in a better place than they were when they started with me, where my personality kind of shone through and my skills.
I love
Um,
it.
and yeah, I did that for 3 years. I kind of then I met a girl, realized that I needed something a little more stable than freelancing in New York
Sure.
City. Emailed, I saw kind of I was with my then girlfriend, now wife. We're going to a doctor's appointment, whatever. Saw a truck. I was like, oh, millwork, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I can do that. Blind emailed them. I was like, hey, I can do this.
Hmm.
Hire me.
Sure.
And wound up being a lead installer for that company for almost 3 years as well.
Oh, wow.
And kind of building on lessons that I did, lessons of things I learned on my own. Um, got to experience working on some insane projects where the closets cost, as much, if not more, than some houses that other people buy. And it continued to kind of introduce me into the accidental world I'm in. Right, it was just kind of this accidental path. Like
Yeah.
I literally, going back to when I was in the military, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Even when I got out, I had no clue.
So the whole thing about it is all I can think is like, what's your favorite arcade game? And yours is not like Street Fighter. It's not Double Dragon. You're just the pinball machine. That's all you are. Just like, oh, just go here and this will be that. And I met this guy. And have you met James? And James is really nice. And his dog is wonderful.
Basically, yeah. And it just kind of, I spent nearly 3 years there. I realized that, it was at that point where I fell into more of the realization of like project management, the ideation of
Hmm.
like how that could become what I do full time,
Gotcha.
because we were having a lot of issues as far as just with clients, the site's not being ready, um, measurements being wrong. And I was like, hey, I approached my boss, the owner of the company. I was like, hey, how about this? I'm one of your top installers. Pay me a little extra money, right? I'll go out to all the high dollar value jobs a week beforehand, make sure they're ready, check the measurements, coordinate, kind of do all these things that no one's doing now.
Sure.
And I'll still do my work, right? I'm not going to abstain from that. But if there's a $200,000 to $300,000 job coming up that's going to take us, a month and a half to complete, I you want it to be right, right? You want the
Sure.
client to be happy with what they're getting. And he bluntly replied, no. And it was at that point I realized that I kind of needed to get out. And like
Yeah.
also at that point, around that time, I bought a house, moved a little further north of the city with my wife.
Sure.
And, I spent a very brief time working for an architectural hardware company. That didn't work out. The boss and I had kind of different views on what work really is. And to your point earlier, like the pinball machine, I started looking for work. I was let go from that place, started looking for work, and I blind applied again to a company that oversaw the labor of the build out of corporate office spaces.
Okay.
So Um, and jobs are large and small. Uh, I wound up running one of their, I emailed them. I was like, hey, and at that point, I was just happened to come across the realization. Oh, here's what a project manager is. Here's what they do, and here's how I fall into kind of these things, these categories of what they do.
So fun.
So I emailed them and I was like, hey, I've never done. I literally said, I think I've never done this work professionally, but here's my background. Here's how I can help you out.
How about that?
And managed to snag an interview, and the GM and the owner liked me, and that was my first foray into kind of like project management.
How about that? Well, to everyone listening in, if you all are loving what we're doing, loving what you're hearing as much as we're loving what we're doing, smash that subscribe button. And I'll ask this at this point. You've already led into it as if I'm just imaginarily leading you along. But what's your mission now?
So, I've spent, 4 years at 2 different companies, basically overseeing the labor and materials of large scale build outs, whether it be office spaces. And then my last stop, I did high end retail locations all over North America.
Mm-hmm.
And the construction process is absolutely broken. It's butchered. It's unrealistic. It's astronomically stupid. Everyone thinks they're the most important person in the room. The egos are out of hand. The timelines are comically inept. The expectations from all parties, end users, general contractors, designers. I just feel like they all drank a lot, and they're just in a constant state of stupor because there's no reasonable explanation as to why some of these jobs exist in today's world. Like there's no, like it's just genuinely baffling. Like,
well, I mean, you've said such kind words about the construction industry. Can we say something negative instead? Like, maybe they smell like cheese, or you don't like their shoes.
I mean, the smells on a job site, on a construction job site, will, in due course, if you're not ready, might be a little alarming. There were times that there were certain people I was around, on not any of the guys I oversaw, but I was like, holy shit, Iraq smelled better than this.
That's a rough
the,
cut. That is a rough cut.
Yeah, it's like I'd show up on job sites and I'd have to talk to people. I'm like, hey, you do know that there's this wonderful thing. It's a device. It projects water out at you.
Called a shower.
It's called a shower. And then there's this stuff you put on your, it's even spray.
That rectangle stuff.
Yes.
What's that called?
I believe
soap.
It's called
that's the
soap.
That's the one.
Soap. And then there's also this thing you do afterwards before you exit the house, where you put on deodorant. It's magical. It's life changing.
Don't tell them about clean clothing.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Telling you. Oh no. So, I mean, oh my goodness. With this ridiculous journey, again, I don't care if it sounds derogatory. I think we've given you a nickname of the pinball at this point. Like, what do you have as far as advice for those, in the service planning to get out soon or otherwise? Like, what do you think would help them to maybe not quite have as much fun as you?
I think a big message I would relay is to don't pigeonhole yourself. If you're an infantryman, consider other things. If you're a tanker, there's really, short of like going on a shitty Discovery show, there's very few things you could do as a tanker, like if you follow that path. But there's amazing opportunities if you just open your mind. Like no matter what MOS you are, no matter what you do in the service, everything from SF Delta guys to cooks, right? And everything in between. There are such amazing opportunities, especially that are afforded to veterans. The opportunities that the VA and other organizations provide as far as tuition assistance, as far as tuition guidance, as far as, and that's tuition, like education guidance, right? Like I jokingly said earlier, I was like, hey, they paid off 60% of my undergrad based off of what I did and how long I was deployed for. But I also, after I was let go from my last job, I came across something called Chapter 31, which a lot of veterans don't know about. It's an opportunity to kind of pursue a higher level of education to kind of enhance your standing. So I went and got my MBA. Like
There you go.
there are things out there that, whether it be whether they're gatekept, whether they're not as well known about, whether the impetus from the veterans themselves isn't there to go out and seek these things out. There's opportunities galore, right? There's things you can,
There we go.
especially now, you know, especially nowadays with how we're kind of we're in this shift with technology, construction, and
Hmm.
all kinds of things in between. The advent of ubiquitous data centers, the
Sure.
need for personnel who can take on large scale jobs of that sort. Like, and don't be afraid to take a chance on something. That's the one thing I will add. It's like there's so many things veterans are good at on a day to day basis. So many things that they can do,
I
right?
love it.
It's just a matter of being able to translate your skills, to your point earlier,
Definitely that.
into the English language, the correct dialect of the English language, and
Civilian is a slight different dialect.
it is, and putting putting bullet points such as I you shouldn't be putting bullet points like if you're and within the SF or kind of high speed community, like you're not, no one cares how many kills you have.
Sure.
No one gives a shit,
Oh
right?
wait, confirmed? Confirmed though? Confirmed? Come on.
It depends who you ask.
Exactly.
Depends who you ask. But
Sure.
like, but also like, if you're, being able to translate your abilities from your time in service is an
Sure.
art form in and of itself.
Oh goodness, yeah.
And just I would say take chances, fall into,
I love it.
take a dumb job for 6 months after you get out. So genuinely, because you've spent, you know, 20, 25 years in taking orders day in and day out,
Sure.
living this rigid life of structure that many people don't, many people envision them just following that time,
Sure.
that path. And like, many of the guys I served with became cops or firefighters or
I've said
corrections
the
officers.
same kind of thing of like when you talk about especially infantry, you've mentioned, Delta and otherwise, and you go, yeah, more often than not, they're going to have a sidearm. Like, and it's not a requirement. It's one of those things where like I always ask, well, what brings you joy? What makes you happy? And they always look at me and they go, no one have ever asked me that. I'm allowed to do what I want. You're like, I think I just exploded. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. Like,
Yeah, no, I just think that the whole the whole kind of stigma that's attached to certain MOSs, that's attached
sure.
to certain specialties, that they continue doing that work.
Yeah.
It's we've been with a couple of year break, about a 3 or 4 year break. We've been at war for 20 years, right? And this country has seen so many people sacrifice so much of themselves, their
Mm-hmm.
families, their time, their energy, their well-being, and not just in the cases of those that are no longer here with us,
Sure.
but those that are and are carrying so much weight, so much burden of those that their friends that are now no longer here. And it feels like the general consensus for most of the public, for whatever reason, is like, oh yeah, you did that in the service. Yeah, you go and work at a sheriff's office somewhere in Arizona, or
Again, like,
you.
and now you get to be a contract. You get to be a soldier of fortune. Like, obviously, that you're just going to do the same thing with a different flavor. And you go, what if they don't want to?
Yeah,
Just a quick question.
no, it's. I would think, to your point, some advice. I would say when you're getting ready to ETS and you filled out
Yeah.
all your paperwork, do some deep soul searching. Do some really deep soul searching. Figure it out. Take a month while you're still in. and you're on the cusp of getting out, make sure all your medical paperwork is good to go, so you have fewer issues when you get out claiming
Sure.
stuff. But do some soul searching. Like really, really dive in on who you are as a person, what you want to do, what you don't want to do is
Mm.
just as important, if not more so, than what you do want to do. And it's a matter of, have seek out supportive groups, right? Seek out veterans who have gotten out, who have completely gotten out, not people who
Sure.
are on the cusp of, but who've been out 5, 10, 15 years.
The
Talk to
dust
them.
has settled. Like you go like,
Yeah.
so what's it actually like? Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. Seek out opinions. Seek out opinions from people who had your MOS. Seek out opinions who didn't have your MOS. Kind
Sure.
of to get a full breadth picture of what it is that you could possibly do, because your time on this uh, planet is relatively limited, as far as I know, unless anyone has any hacks. Uh, it's you want to do something that you enjoy, right? And
Yeah, definitely that.
the one of the biggest kind of struggles I think that I've read about consistently is just figuring out a path for people as they get out that is enjoyable, that is less stressful in whatever capacity that they're
Mm-hmm.
used to their stress level being, and that is, you know, if it's meaningful, great. If you want to go after you get out, you've been in for 22 years and you want to get out and you want to be a professional crocheter, then so be it. Go do something enjoyable. Like
There you go.
it'll be a change of pace. You don't have to take orders from people who only have a one-track mind for the most
Sure.
part. And I say this more even for uh, junior enlisted, than I say this more for senior enlisted and officer corps, because they feel like
Locked
all
into it. Mm-hmm.
they feel like they're loved into it, but it's also like they all want to do. I'm a member of like organizations, and I'm a member of like you follow stuff on Reddit, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm an officer. I have 8 years of SOF experience. Here's what my MBA profile is going to look like. Here's what I'm going to do
Sure.
afterwards. Who gives a shit? Honestly, I genuinely like it's one of the things. It's one of the things I don't care about what you did
Sure.
in the service. I genuinely don't care. I like if you're a decent human being, that to me is more important than any accolades you can possibly have while you're in.
There we go.
And that includes Audie Murphy. You need to be a decent person first and foremost, right? After that, we can talk, right? If you know how to treat people with
Oh yeah.
respect, up and down the spectrum, everyone from the guy that collects the garbage to the person that sits in the C-suite.
I'll say this 1,000 times over, and this bears repeating, maybe sadly so. A firm handshake, a look a man in the eye, and a hello, how are you? That's how we operate. It's plain and simple. It's one of those. If people give you a reason to be off put, if they're disrespectful, then fine, you can take it that way. But everything starts flat.
Yeah, I just think that there's so much, um, so much out there that is left on the table because people, veterans specifically,
Mm,
are fearful to take that chance to do
I
something. Right?
understand.
If I wouldn't have taken the chance, like the reason I got that job at the law firm going
Mm-hmm.
back is I spent 6 months after I got back from my deployment partying like a fucking rock star every single night.
So you're just
And
green room at a White Snake concert. You're like, let's get into it.
basically, and then I think there was one morning, like 6 months after I got back, I got home at like 6:30 in the morning. My mom's getting ready for work, and she's like, "All right, enough of this fucking shit. Get a job." Uh,
Oh my goodness, that's funny. Like, I'm
and like,
done. I'm done. I'm done.
yeah. So like, yeah. And I took a 1-day temp job I think what happened was I had a 1-day temp job to move the library from one floor to another of this firm I wound up working at. It was me and 4 other people, and I had a date that night, right? And
Oh wow.
I was like, you know what? I got to get this shit done. And I kind of took that discipline that I learned while I was in the service and kind of the coordination, being like, okay, here's what we're going to do, guys. Here's how we're going to operate this. take this, you guys take this, we're going to walk this down this way, etc. Set up a.
I have a girl waiting for me, so we're getting this accomplished.
I think I literally said that. I was like, I have a date tonight, guys. I don't give a shit what you guys are doing.
There we go.
I need this done, because I think it was an hourly job, and the guys were trying to milk it. And I was like,
that makes sense.
I was like,
Not today.
That's not going to fly.
Not today.
I'm not going to fly. I was like, so I fell into this career path by complete accident. I had my undergrad degree. If I tell you the full title, you might laugh yourself. You'll laugh yourself off screen.
Go ahead.
My undergrad degree is in deviant behavior and social control.
Well, I mean, that kind of tracks though with project management. Let's be fair.
It does, but it also tracks with being in the construction trade.
True.
But it's one of these things where I tell people that all the time. It's like, yeah, this is basically a psych major.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of, take chances, make mistakes.
So
also,
how about this? Let's go from there and say, on the civilian side, on the populace, on the people side of things, what do you want them to know now?
That veterans are not a monolith, right? We're not.
I love it.
Where we make mistakes. There's a lot of shitty people who are veterans, right? I understand being thankful for people's service, right? But also, I think it needs to be more individualized than that, right? You can't just paint the whole veteran community as some kind of, oh, we're all wonderful and lovely people, right? As much so in the civilian side, right?
Sure.
It's, but also like we've experienced things that so few people have.
Definitely.
Everything from, spending years away from our families, being vigilant beyond all vigilance about our day-to-day lives,
Sure.
as we go out on patrols, as we go out on missions, as we do things in the field. So give grace to veterans, right? Give grace to people that work for you who are veterans, because there are so many people who are suffering silently and don't have the ability or community to allow that to be projected in a meaningful way. That if accidents happen, if mistakes happen, don't rush the whole veteran community don't lump them into like, oh, these guys just make mistakes, these gals make mistakes. Be inquisitive, but in a meaningful way about service.
I like
right?
it.
Not just like the typical, oh, did you kill anyone?
I think you defined the like ex-agency, ex-military, like you're a stand-up comedian, tell me a joke, and you go like, please don't lead line with that. That's a bad lead line.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's, get to know them, get to know veterans, get to know people in your community, whether it be through work, whether it be your neighbor, whether it be, through a religious institution, whatever the case may be, whether it be the guy who, shows up to the bar every month and leaves a drink undrank because he's doing it for his buddies. Like, get to know these people because they have stories. And through those conversations, through those experiences, you'll make bonds. You'll create opportunities, because a lot of what happens is one thing leads to another in conversation. Before you know it, you're figuring out how that veteran can help you grow your business. You're figuring out how you can apply something that you learned from that, in a context, or you come across an idea where that veteran can thrive. So I think being able to have those conversations, to genuinely inquire about what drove them to service,
stories are everything.
It's the important thing that'll help break down barriers, because I feel like there's so many kind of fake, quote unquote, barriers between the civilian and the veteran population. It's like, no, we're both the same. We just, happen to have an additional set of stories that we did because we wanted to, whether we wanted to continue our, our name heritage, whether we wanted to try new things, whether we wanted to go play Rambo for a couple of years, whether we wanted to get a sick payday, like whether we wanted to test ourselves for those that go into
Sure.
SEAL Delta, Ranger SF teams, right? Like things, or PJ teams, like all these things.
Yeah, some particular men have an affliction with like, well, this circulation thing is too fun. How about we try hypothermia? And you go like, I think SEALs is for you. I think we have a boat for you.
Do you enjoy water? How much do you enjoy water?
Like, I think you're going to regret those words, but we can leave it at that. So, all excellent. Now, let's bring it back a little bit more on the ridiculous or accurate. What's a telly show or a film or anything in between that is either is so bad it's good, or painfully accurate, or just hilarious? Like, what's something that stands out to you as far as regarding military life?
I think Jarhead for me.
That's the one.
Yeah. Well, having read the book and then having watched the movie, which was a fairly decent kind of portrayal of that life, but also seeing just some of the mundane situations that they found themselves in, just being like, yep, this is fucking accurate. Like I can think back to like scenarios where I was like, why is it that, formation is at 0730. Why the fuck are we getting ready at 0430? Like what why?
There's a 3-hour gap here, and you go like, have you mopped a mess hall twice? And you go,
like so it's funny, we did something in Kuwait,
okay.
Which I think that like it's we called it, so we cleaned up the area where we were staying before we drove north into Iraq.
Sure.
But they gave it the silliest name. They gave it the name.
Oh, do tell.
They gave it the name Hands Across Kuwait.
So we went full blown 1980s, but in the desert. Okay, great.
Yeah. So we lined up in a line, like, and then we policed trash in Kuwait, in the area where we lived. But like the name they gave it is just like, what is going on? It was at that point where I was like, yep, Jarhead was accurate. Yep, no.
See, this is one of those things where I feel like if there was like drone cameras, this would have been one of those things where, going back to the smartphone thing of like, there's no way that's real. That's AI slop. I don't believe that one. But you're like, no, they really are. They're like holding hands like children and looking for rubbish in the desert. And you go, did I have a stroke? Is this no?
No, like while we were doing it, I was just I like me and my guys were just like we literally thought like we were being punked. Like Ashton Kutcher was gonna pop out like from behind.
Gotcha.
Like, is this really what when you're having an infantry unit do in Iraq, in Kuwait?
That's so funny.
Like, are you gonna give us brooms too, so that we could brush sand like from one end of the like
oh no.
Yeah.
So what's it like being, MI5, MI6, and you go, it's not this. It's not, this isn't exactly James Bond. Like, Q is not giving me the watch with, the laser in it. And you go like, did you see that leaf? It's hot out here.
Yeah, basically. That leaf wasn't here 20 minutes ago. Please get rid of it.
Okay, it's very, very problematic. Quick question. Where did the leaf in the desert come from? You're like, don't ask questions, boy.
No, it's like, it's one of these things. I just, you take the sum of all the experiences of, during my deployment predominantly, and I'm just like, and I'm sure many vets in different ways can relate. It's just like, sometimes the most like mundane moments, right? The things like that, things like I had one of my squad mates, hide the headspace and timing gauge for my 50 cal in a little sand pit which was really
As you
fun to
do.
find.
As you do.
Yeah, don't worry, I may or may not have taken his firing pin out of his M4.
It's dead trigger. What's happening? And you go like, it worked the last time I looked at it. Have you cleaned it?
Yeah, I'm like,
oh my goodness, that's brilliant.
like why would this work?
I don't know. Oh my goodness.
No, so like, yeah, it's all those experiences,
Sure.
they make you who you are. They make from the mundane to the stressful to the times when you're like, oh, am I going to get blown up today? Who knows? But
usual
it's
conversation.
Usual conversation. But it's being able to reflect on those, both, depending on when you got out or how long ago the incident was, in a meaningful way, and being like, hey, this incident, these incidents made me who I am. They may have been painful at the time, both physically, emotionally, mentally. I remember I was one of the things that one of the moments of my deployment was we were in Taji and we were driving along. It was the gunner's hatch. We're driving along a road that's notorious for having IEDs planted in the ground everywhere.
Yeah, I figured that's where you were going.
And my driver, I was in the second vehicle. My driver, saw something. I was in the lead vehicle that day. I'm sorry. Driver saw something was freshly paved ground, avoided it. So on this road, you can only drive 60 miles an hour. That's it. Like basically, you're bottoming out the accelerator on the Humvee, on the up-armored Humvee. And he went into a sandy area, oversteered, and I went into a ditch. He went into a ditch going 60 miles an hour.
Oh, goodness.
I had, I had my communication headphones on, and all I heard from the guy behind me was like, "Yo, Solo's dead." Because I literally, like, I hung on to the 50 cal with my left arm, so I didn't start spiraling and shooting off all kinds of rounds into who knows where.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and then I get back on. And I'm like, nope, Solo's alive.
You're like, no. I'm going to continue annoying you. Let's go get lunch.
Yeah. But like, what made that particular incident like so like lasting was my squad leader was like, hey, when you get, they called the wrecker in, they pulled us out. When he's like, hey, when you get back, go to the cache, get yourself checked out.
Yeah, definitely.
And I go back to the cache, and as I walk in, I hear what turned out to be like the worst incident that we experienced during my deployment.
Oh, wow.
About a mile and a half away from where we were was so the unit we were attached to had Bradleys, and the Bradley fighting vehicle went over an IED that was 10 155 rounds, and it went off.
Goodness.
And so all part was 7 KIA immediately. They found track wheels from the Bradley, which is I want to say roughly each track wheel is about 400 pounds. They found track wheels half a mile away from
that's a lot of explosive. Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of these things like, yeah, you have incidents like that where you're like, that's beyond fucked up, beyond shitty. And any and all pain that I was experiencing at that point.
You're like, you know what? I'm still alive. We're good. Hush. Give me a sandwich. We're fine.
Like, it went away. And then, like, it's one of those things where that kind of compartmentalization, right?
Yeah.
I recently just, literally 2 years ago, had surgery on my left shoulder for something that was wrong for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So like, it's, that's why I included, like, make sure, for vets, make sure your medical is covered. Every time you sprained your fucking ankle walking when you were deployed anywhere,
get it sorted.
Make sure it's documented, because it eases the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. As someone who joined the service, not knowing what the fuck I was doing, not understanding what I was getting myself into, not really in any way, shape, or form doing it for any like familial, my dad was in the Russian military like
Mm-hmm.
40, 50 years ago.
Sure.
I didn't have any connections, right? It's not
No
a heritage.
legacy.
Yeah, no legacy. It's not heritage for me.
Sure.
I just did it because I was like, hey, I could come out of college without debt. Look at me, ma. Um, it's been such a lasting experience. It's something I reflect on a lot. It's
I
something
love
I
it.
have this method of connection with other vets, whether it be when I'm on job sites. I can,
Yeah.
you can kind of tell who's
Yeah.
who.
It's that whole thing, like, we smell our own. Like, I know what you look like.
Yeah. So like being able to have those conversations, being able to shoot the shit,
Yeah.
being able to do all of this is so meaningful. But being able to do it in a way that, that's why I want to give back. I want to give back to the
Love
community.
it.
I want to give back to the veteran community in whatever way I can, because it's so important that the last 24 years with a little bit of a gap
Sure.
are properly advised by people
Mm-hmm.
who come out of it that are mildly to moderately less scathed than others, because there's
Yeah.
many people out there that aren't, and that's sad. It's sad that the
The
infrastructure
wheel of
on this.
fortune is not always pointed in the same direction. Yeah,
No,
no, I get it.
the infrastructure for taking care of vets is often misguided or not clued in the right way
Sure.
on the civilian side as well. So it's a matter of just like make if I were to leave like a lasting thing, it's like make a name for yourself in
I
a
like that.
positive way, right? Don't find something to give back to, whether it be an animal shelter,
Sure.
a shelter of humans, right?
Something with meaning.
Something with meaning, like in any capacity. And it doesn't have to be your whole identity. It could be something you do on the side from whatever it is that you do, for work
Sure.
or otherwise. But yeah, the community is vibrant. There's so many people who do so many wonderful things. Not everyone is going to be like Johnny Kim, right? You're not going to be a SEAL astronaut scientist by the time you're 42. Like that's not realistic, right?
Sure.
So like, and don't be afraid to fail. Sometimes
I
you
like
fail
it.
into things that wind up being amazing opportunities.
I love it. Well, Dmitry, thank you so much for coming. And, for people looking to connect, where's best to find you?
I am on, LinkedIn is my social network of choice. I'm
Gotcha.
not cool enough for Instagram or anything like that, or TikTok. LinkedIn, Dmitry Solominsky.
There we go.
If you have any, if you want to connect me with business ideas, you can email me at dmitry@measuretwicepm.com.
There we go.
That's where I will, I'll be. Or if you want to just connect with me, learn more about me, happy to connect. I'm an open book.
Well, we'll have lots of links for everyone to find you. And thank you all for listening. And we have plenty more episodes to come soon. Cheers all.
And I also became one of the not the designated marksman for the squad, but like one of the people who can shoot the M14 if need be.